for him.
I can dig it. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. I want the ladies in on this one first. I'm getting this one from naturallymoi.com. A sister put a sign in her window at her business, the store that she owns, and it said, quote, "Attention, everyone, be aware. I am a black woman and always will be. If you are allergic to black people, don't come in." This is what she put in her door. This is Martha Renee Kohler. She's a cafe owner, a black cafe owner. And when certain people come in and see that she's black, they forget about how great the business is. The West Yorkshire Cafe owner put a sign telling the customers she's black. She did so because she's fed up with people walking out of her establishment after noticing her skin color. Figures for the ethnicity, from the 2011 census show that of Osset's population of 16,116, 97.5% were recorded as white. Kohler claims that the reaction to the sign in the window of the cafe has been mixed with good and bad comments. Quote, "Some people find it amusing. They were laughing and said, 'Oh yes, it's about time you put that up.' So I think they realize what's going on here." I want the diva on this one first.
Yeah, I'm itching. I'm itching to answer this one because you know what?
I want you in on this one first.
I am itching to answer this one. You posted it on Facebook.
I did.
And I had very strong views on it. I saw your comments,
and that's why I want you in on it first. So
I just think that's the craziest thing ever. Like, really, you think that type of comment's going to get you business? Now that you're saying if you're allergic to black people, leave. Yeah. She needs to find a niche, audience, or whatever, people who want to come to her shop and purchase her things. That's the bottom line. I mean, new business owners like myself, we all go through that where people don't come and purchase our products. It may not have anything to do with your ethnicity. It may have something to do with it, but you posting something so blatant like that is only going to turn a few away.
Let me add to it, she serves a mixture of British, African, and Caribbean food, which implies she has no problem with diversity. During the duration of her business, Kohler hired a white woman named Tracy to work in the establishment. Quote, "When Tracy is in the cafe, she does well, and people come in and it will be full once I stay in the background." That's what Kohler says. But if Tracy is not working and I'm working, nobody comes in. That's why I want you in right there. What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm sad for the owner because I agree with Charisma. The sign is not going to get her business. And she needs to think location, location, location. At 95%, and she put that out there, it's like, I'm black. If you don't like it, don't come in. And now even more, they're not coming in.
Brandy, what's your thoughts?
That was the same thing I was going to say. I mean, when you're opening a business, you should figure out what location would suit you the best, where you would get more business, more profit off of it. That's number one, what you do. So I really don't know what to say about it.
Big Real, what's your thoughts?
I think it's a you problem.
You problem. I mean,
they ain't coming in when you there, but they coming in when she there. Maybe it's a you problem. It may not necessarily be a race problem, but it could be a you problem. Maybe they don't like you because you're a nasty ass. I don't know, but it is what it is. If people don't come in when you there, but all these other people come in when you in the back, and your partner out there, man, she's staying out there all day. You hire yourself another one like her, and you stay in the back all day and collect a check. Don't be doing dumb stuff like that, because when it's all said and done, it could be a you problem, and they might not like your attitude or the aura that you give off. And if you give off a nasty aura, I ain't come to see you,
Diva.
Yeah, I was getting ready to agree with you, Rube. I think that maybe she did have a couple experiences of racism and took it defensively, and now she wears this, face that's mean and defensive and angry.
Martin Luther King woman.
Yeah. And
what the hell does that mean?
People can feel anger. Now I'm really not going to come to your shop because you feel the criteria.
That's how she feels.
Martin Luther King woman.
She feel like she can just take. She feel like if you don't, I ain't going nowhere. Blah blah. Blah, she just feels like she's some civil rights wannabe.
And one thing too,
I'm sorry, I don't get the one.
One thing too, we're supposed to be black angry women, so she's just fitting the profile.
I will just say this: I don't need to say a whole lot more, because I agree with the general sentiment of what the crew is saying. I will say this very strongly. This damn woman out her damn mind. That's the dumbest thing I ever seen somebody do. You put a sign up in the window that says, "Don't, if you don't like me, don't come in." Like, really? I mean, I understand the frustration, because unless you are black, unless you are a minority, you cannot possibly understand what the discrimination feels like, what it feels like when people look at you a certain kind of way, or what it feels like when people treat you a certain kind of way. However, if you are running a business, you're running a business in a place that's 97.5% white, and you expect these people to patronize your business, you cannot antagonize them by saying, if you're allergic to black people, don't come in here. And even if it was half black, it's still stupid and dumb and presumptuous and arrogant and just flat out dumbass to do something like that. Brandy, what's her deal?
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Your description of the restaurant was British, American, and Caribbean food.
British, African, and Caribbean food is what it says. Yes.
I'm getting the assumption that maybe she's not actually from that area and she's moved there, and now she's realizing how racist the area is, so she's a little upset. Devil's advocate, I'm just saying.
I got you, but I mean, you know, I will, while I disagree with the Martin Luther King reference Ruben said, I think that he was onto something by saying, you know, what he said. I mean, if you live in a 97%, you know, white area, and you're a black person running a business that has African and Caribbean food, I mean, I'm not going to assume that white folk don't like that food, but
British,
I left British out because it's 2/3 African and Caribbean. You know what I'm saying? But it is partly British as well.
There are a lot of Jamaicans in England, and you know.
Exactly.
So
I mean, but if you in that area with that kind of business, it could very well be that that's not the demographic you need to be in. Now, devil's advocate would say that when Tracy up in there, it's a little bit different. But I will not endorse antagonistic behavior just because you mad. Diva.
And you know what? If those customers are racist and only coming in when Tracy's there, guess what? I'm going to work y'all dollar, and I'm going to put Tracy out front.
Yep.
99.9%.
I'm high. And that's what Ruben said.
That's what I'm going to do, since y'all want to be racist.
Just pay Tracy extra, or get Tracy's sister to work in there with you and get paid and get your money.
Yep. The opposite is those hair products. I mean, they put black faces on it, but it's owned by white folks.
Yep.
So
and just like you see the McDonald's commercial with the black folk, you know, shucking and driving and the hip hop rapping and all that kind of stuff. White folk make a living out of putting black faces on their products because they know that black people, and this is the unfortunate reality, is that black folk going to run to spend their money with white folk. If white folks say the ice is colder, they're gonna drink the white folks' ice. That's how it is.
It just shows the influence that we have on other cultures. They don't want to be us, but they love the way we do our things.
But our people are real quick to not patronize our own. That's where I'm going. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. But I also know that our folk, you know, I could tell you, you know, that I got, you know, I got a magic trick, and you're gonna look at me cross-eyed. But if a white dude shows you the same trick, you're gonna be like, wow, that was great. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we do. That's what we do. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Keeping it moving. This one got me real pissed off when I saw it. Brandy, I want you on this one first. Yes, Underground Railroad reenactment during a field trip enrages parents. I'm getting this from the Huffington Post. You got a Connecticut school facing backlash from the parents following a controversial school trip that took place last year. James and Sandra Baker, parents of a student at Hartfield Magnet Trinity College Academy, said their daughter was forced to participate in an uncomfortable presentation about slavery. Testifying at the Hartford Board of Education hearing last week, the Bakers said during the, quote, Underground Railroad reenactment activity on their then 7th graders class trip, students were called the N-word. They also said the children had to pretend to be picking cotton like a real slave, hold their heads down, and not make eye contact with the white masters. The Bakers said the reenactment was incredibly traumatizing for their child. They've been fighting the school's decision to participate in the program ever since. The field trip took place at Nature's Classroom, a 40-year-old residential environmental education program. Sandra Baker testified that the reenactment was so realistic. At some points, her daughter, quote, did not know if the leaders were joking, end quote. And she said that she was particularly troubled because, quote, as an African-American black parent, I carefully consider how my children receive messages about racial identity. I think we said enough. Brandy, I want you in on this one first. What's your thoughts?
Number one, who signed the field trip slip that said we are going to the Underground Railroad?
That's a good one. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's number one. Number two, I mean, it's just, I was thinking at first that it was a big difference because down here we go on field trips to plantations and it's no big thing, but they don't have reenactments of picking cotton and calling people by the N-word and, you know.
Like, what's a reenactment? Hello?
I mean, they tell us what happened back then. That was pretty much all that was done when I used to go on those, and just to see how it was back then and what they may have gone through. So this is a little far-fetched. Maybe the Yankees took it a little too far with that whole thing. I don't know.
They were having a ball with it, and some fool said, "Yeah, I'm gonna let my kids go." Signed it. That's not the way you want to teach that lesson. That is not the way to teach that lesson.
David, what's your thoughts on this?
I'm wondering if the parents, even though they signed the form, knew exactly how deep it was going to be. You know, that my kids are going to actually be slaves picking cotton.
I can't imagine that they knew that it was going to be
You know what I'm
serious.
saying? Like some backlash needs to happen.
Like
Let's get Ruben in on this one. Ruben, you over there losing your damn mind. You know, everybody's watching you. We're trying to have a discussion over there, and you're distracting us with your physical reaction to the story. Why don't you verbally tell us how you feeling, man?
I mean, I'm just like, I can't imagine coming home and telling my parents I just picked cotton. I just can't. I can't imagine that. And it's just like, in the North, it's supposed to be slightly different because they were against slavery in the North back in the day. So
that's a myth. That's a myth.
Well, but whatever. But the thing about it is, it's just like, I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around it because I'm just kind of like,
Okay.
I've never picked cotton in my life, and I can't imagine these kids going out there and picking cotton, and somebody telling them pick that cotton in. I'm kind of beside myself, so I'm trying to deal with it in a way that I can process it. It's just difficult because, like, I want to laugh, but it's more of a defense mechanism because this is real messed up.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine somebody. I mean, you might as well just went on and got a whip and went to work. Because, hey, here's a cotton gin. I mean, thanks for inventing it like 20 years later. But I don't know.
Brandy, what's your
No, I was just going to say the most that they ever did at the plantations was show us how intricate it was to pick out the cotton seeds. Because there's millions little seeds in there. So they tried to show us how hard it would have been to work back then. But no.
I would like to see a copy of the permissions.
Yeah, no, Brandy, you hit on that. And
really
that's why
would.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's the first thing that I'm thinking. Like, when you sign the permission slip to say, I didn't think about that, Brandy, until you brought it up. When you sign the permission slip to say, this is where we going, like, what the hell were your thoughts? Like, did you know, or was the name of the place disguised in a way that you didn't realize that this was what was going on?
Well,
and every permission slip that I've ever gotten from Mama J specifically lays out what is going to happen during the trip when you go through. At 12 o'clock you're going to do this, and at 1 o'clock you're going to do this, and at 2 o'clock you're getting on the bus to come back. And so I don't understand how you did this. Now, what I will say is, even if you were misled, which apparently is the situation here, what school district thinks that it's okay, and it's Connecticut, and I know, Rube, you alluded to the fact that it's the North, and the North was against slavery, which is a myth, which we can discuss one day, but, the fact that this is in 2013, regardless of where it is, that any school district or any vendor, forget the school district, the vendor of the place that they went to would think that it's okay, regardless of his black children, white children, or any children, to abuse them in such a way, to use such language, one, And because again, here we go being desensitized to the N word to the point where we think that it's okay for us to use this word in any kind of way. And then the fact that you are physically forcing them to do this to the point where 7th grade. So how old is 7th grade? 12? Somewhere between 11 and 13. So a 11 to 13-year-old child is to the point where they think the adults who are inflicting this abuse on them is being real. Like they're confused about how serious this is. That's a problem, man. I don't know about this one, David. You giving me the face like you want to get in.
I was just wondering, and I'm going to take it deeper, because I got to take it deeper with more questions.
Shocker.
I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering, that's all I did as a kid, just ask a bunch of questions.
No, questions are good.
I'm just wondering, did some of the kids, say, I'm uncomfortable with this, I don't want to do this, and they still were kind of forced or coerced to do it? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm wondering, some kids had to say, I don't want to do this.
This is how it went down. This is how it went down. They did this field trip, probably on the bus, on the way to the field trip. Some teachers got together. This might be some cool stuff to do. Why don't we do this? Not completely thinking that, hey, idiots, you might make some kid feel uncomfortable. But, we really shown what slavery was like, blah, blah, blah. And then they went to the people, hey, can we do this? Can we really do this? Because we think it would be interested in get a life experience for our children. You're paying us, so I guess we will. That sort of thing. That's probably how it went down. I am pretty sure it was not on any lesson plan, any slip that a parent needs to sign one. I'm pretty sure these parents looked on the internet to find out where their children are going, which I almost guarantee that wasn't up there, because no parent in their right mind would have signed that after seeing that. So it was probably some stupid thing that was thought up on the way there, and they convinced these people to do it simply because they were paying them. Yeah. And these people were dumb enough to do it.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm not sure I agree with it. But it is what it is. I want to kind of get one more comment in here because we're getting a hit on the social media and it's taking us in a different direction. I want to get a quick comment on this direction and we'll move on to the next story. Steven Sykes, host of Enliven Radio here on Legacy Internet Radio every single Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Is asking a question. So to me, actually, devil's advocate, do these same parents allow their children to listen to today's rap music? And so to me, how are we going to allow this but be mad at the field trip? Also, where were the parent chaperones? So I'm going to address it first. As far as the parents allowing their kids to listen to music, my guess is if you're a parent like me, no, I don't. I screen the music that she listens to. She doesn't listen to the hip hop that I listen to, and she don't listen to the music that is on some of the more vulgar graphic stuff. Now the reality is some of the bad stuff is on terrestrial radio, so that's sometimes difficult to be able to navigate. But to kind of piggyback on Ruben's point, this kind of thing, in Ruben's opinion, may have been conceived while they were either on their way to the trip. So when you ask about Stephen, when you ask about where the parent chaperones, my guess is they were right there. Kaz is saying it's probably not the right thing to do, but if my kid came home and told me she was picking cotton and being called, I'm going right to the people and I'm gonna tell them a few things, which Kaz and I are definitely on the same page with this one. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We're gonna move on from this one on to the next one. This one, I want the ladies in on this one first. I want getting this from blacklikemoi.com. I always like to read the byline before I get into the story because I like to see the aghast looks on your faces. Brandy, I want you in this one first. Woman gets evicted for calling 911 after boyfriend stabs her in the neck. I'm not laughing because she got stabbed in the neck, y'all. Woman gets evicted for calling 911 after a boyfriend stabs her in the neck. In Norristown, Pennsylvania, a disturbing...
That's where you from?
In Norristown, that's where you from, SY?
Yes.
Damn it, I thought you was from Jersey. You a faker. You ain't from no Jersey. You from Norristown, Pennsylvania. Oh my God. Elizabeth, she coming to join you. She in here, she clutching
I'm
her
coming,
pearls.
Elizabeth.
My goodness. All right, let me get through the story. In Norristown, Pennsylvania, a disturbing incident took place that has everyone on notice. There is a law in the city which is catching on around the nation, which states that if you call 911 too many times, your landlord can put you on the street. Called the Nuisance Property Ordinance, this law says that if you call police 3 times during a 4-month period, you can be evicted no matter what the circumstances. So if you've got an abusive ex-boyfriend or husband or a chick, because it ain't just us that wild out, y'all.
Nah,
and
no
I'm,
Lord.
And I'm adding that. I mean, you could be dealing with Rasputia or something. I don't know. Anyway, if someone keeps stalking you, that's your problem, not the police, your landlord, or anyone else. Lakeisha Briggs had been mortified of her ex-boyfriend who came to her when he was released from jail. The woman did not want the man at home, asked him to leave. She called the police in order to protect her and her children, was fearful, asking for help from the cops. Quote, if I call the police to get out of my house, I get evicted. The woman was later stabbed in the neck with a broken ashtray after refusing to reach out to the police for help. The neighbor called 911 right after this. Her landlord told her and her kids to get out. Now, a sociologist at Harvard says, quote, these laws threaten citizens' fundamental right to call on the police for help. Authorities have seemingly misguided belief that these laws actually protect landlords from dealing with tenants who like to break the law. Officials in the city say they warned the woman to get a protective order, but she did not. They also held her accountable for the fact that she called 911 on 10 other occasions but wasn't physically injured. The woman is taking the city to court, and it's hard to root against her. Once again, I'm getting that from blacklikemoi.com. So, Brandy, let's get you in on this one first. You could get kicked out your house for calling 911. What you think?
Well, from the landlord's point of view, I believe they get charged after a certain amount. I mean, if I'm going by like alarm companies and whatnot, you get charged if you call or if you have a false alarm so many amounts of time. So it's probably getting charged to him. So I would understand the issue there. I wouldn't understand her getting stabbed and you kicking her and her children out, but I do understand that point of view. If the police are charging for every time they come out to that apartment complex or whatever, then I understand that. The second thing I was going to say was, can't remember. Oh yeah, if the police keep showing up at this apartment complex, it probably makes it real hard for him to sell apartments or lease apartments out to other people. So he's thinking of his money more than the welfare of the people that live there, and that's just what it is.
What you think? That's why. What you think? I mean, that's your hometown. Your hometown is wilding out. I thought
Didn't
you
I
was from
say
Jersey.
earlier
And
I was almost...
I'm feeling some kind of way because all this time I'm thinking you from Jersey. You from Norristown, Pennsylvania.
I said I live there.
Ever what? Anyway.
But I said earlier that I was even almost embarrassed to be from Pennsylvania when the Steelers were letting me down. And now this shit.
Damn, I thought I was the only one that cussed on that.
You know, I feel bad for her, but I'm really concerned that she's called 10 times. And if it's 10 times on the same monster, she has a problem. She has a problem. She should not be dealing with him in any way, shape, or form.
But a protective order don't do that.
Protective orders don't mean anything. It's a waste of time.
That's the part
they really are.
Diva, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, in that situation, she'd have to leave, or this would be the only time that I would be for guns. Maybe get a gun to protect herself. That would be the only
Change my mind.
You know what I'm saying? Either she's going to have to protect herself with a gun, or she's going to have to move out.
Right.
She can't keep calling the police because they're going to evict her. This is crazy.
We getting a hit in social media. Simone says police in Jersey City, New Jersey, my hometown, where I'm actually from.
Whatever.
Police in Jersey City have been known to tell victims that they have to come to the home one more time, and they'll arrest them then, which I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And Cass says she should have shot him, but if she ain't got no gun, she can't shoot him. Big Rule, what's your thoughts on this one? What do you think?
It sounds like the law was created for, I guess, people who cry wolf. Mm-hmm. All laws aren't created for good reasons. There are some created for stupidity. But, it's one of those things where, like the ladies have said, if they got to come, if the police got to come to your crib that many times, and there's got to be a limit, unfortunately. That's the sad part, but there's got to be a limit. I'm a fan of, look, if you got issues with your significant other, whether it be male or female or animal, then you need to get that handled. You need to get that handled.
Right.
I mean, no, because there's some people out there who don't classify as humans. You know, it is what it is. But you need to get that handled. I know it's tough, but you got to get that handled. I mean, the law sucks, but, you know, once again, all laws aren't created for protecting everybody. Some laws are created for protecting other people other than yourself, and it sucks.
Two quick things real quick. I'm getting a hit. I'm getting a hit in social media once again. Cass said she should have shot him. Actually, that's an old one. I'm getting one from Iris is saying they have stupid laws on the books. That's why we have the crazy pages. Or I like the gotcha pages and stuff like that. But, you know, I've always been someone that says that just because it's a law doesn't mean it's right. Mm-hmm. Just because you got a bunch of people that got together and created a law doesn't mean it's the right thing. And every single law doesn't apply to every single situation. And it's done to try to be fair. But I think there needs to be some common sense applied a lot of times. And I don't see it actually happening. Diva's got a comment.
I was getting ready to say, can she sue the police department?
Well, apparently she's taking the city.
Court.
She looks like, based on the article, she's looking to sue the jurisdiction and see what happens.
That way a judge will be involved at least, and hopefully be fair.
Ain't no how step on Marcus J. Last thing I want to get into, actually there's two, but I don't know if we have time for the other one, so I'll just get to the other one. Twerking is this new thing that has, and now we got 2 of the 3 sisters in the room shaking their asses.
Oh my!
As soon as I say the word,
lions and tigers and asses. Oh my!
My goodness! Y'all crack me up, man. I tell you, it's a good thing I got on tinted glasses. You didn't see how they went just like.
The floor was moving. Did you feel it?
Yeah, I did, boy. Shake that ass, girl.
I have no comment on what I just saw.
Whatever. You ain't got to. I'm gonna keep it real. I like to see that joint. But anyway, you got 2 instances of twerking that have become mainstream situations after the Miley Cyrus debacle. And the reality is, look here, white folk and Republicans. This has been going on for a long time. And I don't always like to call y'all out, but there's certain times where I feel like I need to explain stuff to y'all. Just like y'all might need to explain stuff to us that we may not be familiar. It's not a racial thing. It's not a negative racial thing. A lot of times when people say things like, listen here, white folk, people going, or their antennas are up. I'm not being disrespectful. But this is the situation that we have here. Twerking is not new. Twerking is new to y'all. Because y'all little girl Miley Cyrus is doing it, and the little girls that follow Miley Cyrus is doing it now, and y'all seeing y'all little girls shaking their asses in a very sexually explicit way, and it's freaking y'all out. We've been seeing this for a long time. Twerking been going on for a long time, and guess what? The word twerking has been applied to the action for the whole time. Y'all just being exposed to it. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, you're seeing stories popping up all over the country. There's one in particular, which I won't get into this one in particular because, again, it's happening all over the country, where you're starting to see girls getting suspended from school for twerking. And I saw an article recently, and I'm trying to pull it up. I had it up, and I'm going to try to find it and see if I can give you the specific location on it. But there's a small town here in the United States, and if you give me a minute, I'll tell you exactly where they will put your ass in jail. Here it is, DeQuincy, Louisiana. DeQuincy, Louisiana is giving you a 30-day mandatory jail sentence for the first offense of twerking, shaking your ass in public. You're going to jail for a mandatory 30 days. So I don't even know if us guys need to even get in on this one. I want the ladies. Brandy, you up first. What's your thoughts?
I'm saying at the sock hops in Prince George, there'd be a lot of 10, 11, 12-year-olds going to jail for so-called twerking. We was doing a lot worse than that at the most sock hops. So I don't know about this. It is just, seriously, it's just that they are becoming more aware of this twerking thing, and it's becoming more sensationalized, so that I understand their worry. They're worried that all their little children are becoming pregnant and whatnot, and
that's why I was your thoughts.
Twerking, that's going to lead to them becoming more promiscuous and going on that TV show 16 and
twerking
pregnant.
is supposed to be a black thing. They're worried about the black kids making a bad impression, so this is the way to put them away, get them out the way. That's what that's about.
There's gonna be a lot of little,
That's what I
nice
think
little
that's
girls
about.
in
But you know the
jails.
thing. But you know the thing is, I mean, you know, people like to always put the negative social issues on minorities and us black folk. But the reality is, if you look at the statistical numbers and the percentages,
It ain't
it's
us.
even across the board. It's just as many young white girls that's going and getting pregnant as it is black
Yeah.
girls. But you only seeing the black girls.
You see
You know,
on MTV that's
and I did, you know, I did some stats a couple of weeks ago on the show that showed that the incidences of gun violence, you know, with regards to white males is on par with black males. You know, and I got that, and I got that from the FBI statistics. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, food stamps and welfare and all of that kind of stuff is on par, as even, but that's not what you think of, because we are brainwashed to make it seem like all of these negative ills are, you know, coming from the minority communities. Just like, you know, and Ruben, I'm gonna get you on this, but just this last point, and we haven't talked about what's going on in Kenya all night, and I really don't want to get into that. But the point I'll make is, you got a lot of people now that's, you know, well, not now, but just in general, that are down on the Islamic faith, because these guys came into this mall and they was like, let's let all of the Muslims out and let's shoot some non-Muslims. And we know that the Islamic terrorists and the extremists, they wild out. But, you know, nobody wants to talk about how the Christians were the ones behind the Holocaust and slavery. You know what I'm saying? So y'all got some stuff with y'all too. And let's not make it out to be just because you part of one religion that you wild out, but your hands are clean and you got no blood on your hands when we look at it historically. Big Rube, you want to get in on the original topic at hand on twerking before we go to this break?
In a funny moment, I know for a fact, it is on videotape, that I unfortunately have seen white males twerk too.
Oh,
The
yeah.
only difference is they're smart enough not to put that stuff out in public. So don't get it twisted that just all these chicks doing it. Guys are doing it in
And they
privacy.
can do it a lot better.
I'm just not one of them. But dudes are doing it in privacy because we smart enough not to put it out there. I don't know why everybody want to put themselves twerking out on a video. I don't get it.
You don't want to do it. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J.
I got a video of Marcus twerking.
Yeah, that'll never happen. You can, ain't no, anybody that knows me knows
Roll
I
that
don't dance. That's just not what I do. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. We're gonna take our first break of the night, and when we come back, we got SY that's gonna get into her whys section, and we're going to be happy to talk to her about what we're talking about in that segment. You want to tease it? That's why you want to give just a small tease of what we're going to talk about and why. Don't give them too much. Just a small tease.
Okay. If you're listening with your mate, go get him.
All right, that's good. All right, real quick, we're getting a comment on social media. We won't get a chance to get to it on the other side. Simone is saying that she lives in the suburbs of New Jersey, and the white kids around here are just as imitating what they see Rick Ross and those folks. It's funny to see the skinny white boy imitating Rick Ross, which we know Rick Ross is a faker himself, Mr. Former corrections officer who stole the name of the most infamous crack dealer in the world. And so you imitating an imitator. Ain't that something? What was you saying, Brandy?
Did they ever agree to fight? Are they ever gonna fight?
Yeah, sure. Who knows? Another comment we're getting is people from Stephen Sykes. People want to stop it, so we're becoming numb, desensitized to it. Like we didn't stand using the N-word years ago, and now it's a bigger movement to stop it. But people are against it. I can dig it. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Way over, but we're glad we had a good segment here. But we're gonna shift, and from this point forward, it's all relationships. Ladies, go get your man. Fellas, go get your lady. You're going to want to hear us. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. We got SY Brandon, Dating Pool Diva, Big Rube, and yours truly in the building. Stay with us. We will be back in 5.